Hey guys, Ash here with another Raid Shadow Legends champion guide, this time on Claidna. We have Kelgrim. YouTube says, great guide as usual. Thanks, Kelgrim. Appreciate that. Would love to see one on Claidna. She has been pretty useful for me, but the reviews are terrible. Okay. What else we have here? Oh, we have Richard Chu. Ash, do a guide on Claidna, the new worst void Lego in existence. Oh man, is Claidna that bad? Stay tuned and let's discuss. So as we mentioned, God Claidna is a Void legendary. So she's from the Sylvan Watchers faction. She's literally a tree. She's a tree. She's a pretty cool looking tree, I would say, right? She's got the fingernails. She's got the high heels. She's got the tree high heels going on as well. So pretty cool design on this champion at least, right? The reviews were pretty bad as the commenter said here. A bunch of 2s. Her best scores come from Sand Devil, Faction Wars, and Hydra Clan Boss. What does she do? Well, base stats, right? A speed about average at 100 on the dot. Her HP above average at 21k. Her defense above average at 1350. On the A, she's an HP base champion as well, worth noting. On her A1, touch of slumber. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% when booked chance of placing a sleep debuff for 1 turn. Fills this champion's turn meter by 15% if the sleep debuff is placed. So already, you know, some use case for Sand Devil. More on that later. On the A2, Lost in the Woods on a 3-turn cooldown when booked, has a 100% chance again when booked of placing the decreased speed, and a leech on all enemies for 2 turns. Also heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. Hey, that's a great heal. It's based on her HP. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. It's an AoE, affects all allies. And both of those debuffs, especially decreased speed, but even leech, can be incredibly useful in keeping your team alive, I guess in both use cases, right? Getting more damage in as well with the decreased speed. So this Lost in the Woods is a very nice ability to have. Hydra Clan Boss, but really just dungeons in general as well. More on that when we get to her aura. On the A3, Otherworld Infusion. She's placing a block debuff and a revive on death buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is also on a 3-turn cooldown. So a 2-turn revive on death on a 3-turn cooldown is very good, along with the block debuffs. So far, pretty dang good, right? On the passive, Fey Monarch. This 1-turn cooldown has a 60% chance when booked of completely blocking the incoming damage of the first hit of an attack. Occurs once per turn, obviously, because it's on a 1-turn cooldown. So what does this mean? I remember when I initially pulled a Claidna, I thought that, let's just say the Ice Golem does an AoE attack. I thought that we had a 60% chance to block incoming damage, ergo like a little block damage buff on everybody. A 60% chance of having a block damage buff on all my allies. That sadly is not the case. It's only for her. It's only for her that she gets this passive applied to. So it does certainly mitigate its potential, but it's still a nice to have ability in her kit. She has a whopping HP in dungeons by 40%, so a great aura lead for survivability and progression in dungeons. So that's her kit, guys. Why do people hate on her so much? She got sleep, she's got 2 great debuffs, she got a really good heal, she got revive on death and block debuffs. I think it's more about what she doesn't have. She has the block debuff, she has no cleanse. She has the revive on death, she has no revive. These are great, don't get me wrong, these are great buffs to have and they're really valuable, right? But it's just missing what we're really looking for as a key part of our teams, like an Elva, for example. She has heals, a revive, a block debuffs, and a cleanse, and increased speed, right? So she's not that level of champion, in my opinion, right? Again, this Lost in the Woods is a great ability. Now, granted, in this game nowadays, you can find decreased speed champions, even among epics, on an AoE 3-turn cooldown. You can find leeches. Having all 3 in one ability is valuable, though. So, you know, I think that I wish she had just a little something more, right? I can understand those ratings. I have her, obviously, on an endgame account, right? And I don't use her. But that doesn't mean that she can't be used with great utility on some accounts out there, right? We even heard from that commenter that uses her all the time or has been able to get some nice progression using her. I think she is a great progression champion for accounts. I also think she's a great option for like any dungeon progression for the most part, maybe with the exception of Fire Knight, but she does have the decreased speed as well, which can be helpful, but great in progression areas, right? I feel like she's going to be serviceable in Hydra Clan Boss, right? She's going to be a great option for maybe your second or third team of Hydra. You could really use those heals and the debuffs on that A2 is extremely valuable. The block debuffs on the A3, again, I wish there was a little turn meter fill or just something extra there, but it's still a pretty serviceable ability. So I think she's a great progression Void Legendary. And I guess that would bring me to the question, should Void Legendaries be progression champions? And I think that, inherently is the knock on this champion. I hope you guys think I'm being fair here because, again, she's a very strange I've always felt this way. I've actually delayed this guide a little bit because I think to myself, I'm not sure what to think of her sometimes, So here's how I have her built in today's video, and we'll go ahead and demonstrate her in a dungeon as well as maybe like faction wars as well. We have total stats 104, 3,300 on the defense, speed 247, and accuracy. The stat priorities on this champion are going to be threefold: accuracy, HP, and speed. Accuracy for the debuffs, obviously, HP for her heal and survivability, and speed because we want her to get back to those abilities as soon as you possibly can, especially on that A3 with the block debuffs. For that reason, it's a pretty basic build, right? I really highly recommend Perception on this champion to get that accuracy there. Plus, if you run 2 or 3 sets of Perception, it allows you to get away in most cases with putting HP on the banner and getting more heal and survivability from her. That's exactly what we did in today's build. So we went HP on the banner, HP on the amulet, and HP on the ring. We went speed on the boots. We went HP percentage on the chest and HP percentage on the gauntlet. Sorry, my player in play is running a little bit slow today for whatever reason. So HP, HP, HP. Let's see if we can get lucky with the ascension stat on these speed boots here. Give me some speed. Give me the... Definitely don't care about the attack on this champion. While my game catches up to me here, let's see what hellhades.com has to say about this champion. They rank her a 4, which is a very, very high score, a very high score. So obviously not everybody... Everything is failing on me today, guys. Obviously, they're a fan. Not everybody thinks she's the worst Void Legendary out there. They give her regular Clan Boss a 3.5, Hydra Clan Boss a 4.5 score, Doom Tower Waves 4 out of 5, Sand Devil 4.5 out of 5, Spider 4.5 out of 5, Ice Golem a 4, Arena a 4 out of 5. Now, personally, I don't rank her as high. I probably give her a 3, For example, Arena, I don't love her in Arena. I don't like her in Arena. I would probably give her a 2, Not to say that you can't use her, but, you got to block debuffs, revive on death. I feel like you can get that in other places. And with the debuffs, you got to be careful of polymorph. What else are we trying to do with her in the arena? She can be tough to get rid of. You can throw her in a bolster set, right? So certainly not saying you can't use her with some results, right? But I think there's probably better options, even for like free-to-play players out there. I'm not trying to, just say my account, just because I don't use her, you can't use her. But I think her best use cases, as I said earlier, are going to be faction wars, dungeons, with that aura, especially in survivability, Ice Golem, like areas like that, in Hydra Clan Boss. So let's see, they recommend Polymorph and Brimstone as a debuffer and in the late game Brimstone. I do have her built in Brimstone. On today's build, she does have a 0.28 HP multiplier on her A1. Yeah, we don't care about that. She's not doing any damage other than, War Master or whatever you have on her for Masteries. So let's go ahead and take a look at those Masteries. As I mentioned, I do have Brimstone on her. We're building with the accuracy anyway. I have her 5-star awakened here in this showcase, so why not give those extra stats and a chance of getting that nice smite damage from my Claidna as well. Let's see. She has War Master, very basic PvE build. I like this build because you can just get the damage from War Master, obviously. And I especially like coming down the support tree, picking up, I want to, focus on 3 masteries here. I guess 4. War Master for a little bit of damage from her is nice, right? Especially in longer battles. In addition to that, Rapid response, right? 30% chance to increase the turn meter by 10% when a buff cast by this champion is removed or expires. Obviously, those buffs on the A3, they're guaranteed. All buffs are guaranteed in this game, right? Debuffs, you never know. They could be resisted. So if you have a champion like this that has 2 debuffs and 2 buffs, both on a 3-turn cooldown, you should always go with Rapid Response over Arcane Celerity, because Arcane Celerity, even on a Void Affinity champion who's placing their debuffs, there's always the chance to get resisted. And there's some bosses that just won't get debuffs in certain situations, like the Sand Devil, for example. So that's why you always go with Rapid Response, provided you're not speed tuning your team, right? Obviously. Then you want to avoid all turn meter effect masteries. The other 2 I wanted to point out are obviously Master Hexer and Lasting Gifts. Master Hexer will extend the duration of the leech and the decreased speed, extremely valuable, and Lasting Gifts will extend the duration not of the revive on death, but it will extend that duration on the block debuffs, which can be incredibly valuable. So I'd recommend picking up both Lasting Gifts and Master Hexer on Claidna. Let's see what hellhades.com, just get a second opinion here on a general PvE build. So they come down, they do pick up Life Drinker instead of Rapid Response. That's totally fine as well. They do go War Master. They don't go Lasting Gifts, they pick up Sniper. I don't think there's any reason to pick up Sniper on this champion, because I guess there is a reason. If you don't have her booked out, right? If you don't have her booked out, Sniper's going to be great for the A2. Take it up to an 80% chance at landing those debuffs. If you do book her out, obviously Sniper's not going to work on Sleep. Sleep does not apply to Sniper, so there's no reason to have the debuff if you're going to book her. But heck, if you're not going to book her, you want to use her for Faction Wars dungeons, absolutely go with Sniper instead of Lasting Gifts. It could be a good option for you if you don't have books into her. All right, guys, let's go ahead and give her a shot here. Let's go in. I need to like do an update on my PC or something, man, because lately things have felt a little laggy in the game. That's not usually my style here. Let's go into, well, as I said, I think I have Faction Wars rotation up right now. So let's go ahead and just run her in Faction Wars. I have an all Sylvan Watcher team, obviously for Faction Wars, but then also for Ice Golem Hard 10, just to mess around, have some fun with. So I'm going to take out all the legendaries. Let's put in a bunch of epics here. So let's put, we have Pan, we have Mist Rider, Ruella, and Cryoden. There we go. Let's start it. And let's see how she, oh, hey, we have Elva on the team. Way to go, Ash. Elva's going to do a heck of a job. How about Claidna, dude? Be right back. All right, that's better. We have Claidna in there, just trying to sneak in Elva, as we mentioned earlier, trying to get that revive and cleanse on the squad, trying to sneak that in. But she can do a very competent job. Obviously, she's not going to be able to cleanse, but she will mitigate those debuffs with the A3 ability anyway, so hopefully there's not a great need for the cleanse. Obviously, in some areas, that would be ideal, right? And then like a Phantom Shogun's Grove or something like that. But she's going to do a very admirable, serviceable, beyond serviceable job at keeping your team alive and protecting them from debuffs. And hey, if they die, she's got the revive on death, you know? She brings too much to the table for me to call her the worst Void Legendary in the game. She just does. She just does, you know? I mean, it might be a little underwhelming for a Void, and I would agree with that, for a Void Legendary, that is. That being said, though, I mean, she does a lot. She really does in her own little way. And then she's got the kind of the unique passive. I guess that passive is how they get by calling her a Void Legendary. Void Legendaries in this game, they usually try to add something that you don't get from your normal champion. But the Fey Monarch passive, I don't know about you guys, but I find it fairly underwhelming. Now, if she was a reviver and she had the block damage ability, that would be totally different, right? Because, you know, keeping herself alive when she's the last one standing with constant denial of damage would be fantastic. But if everybody's dead, you know, or everybody's dying, what does it really matter? She's blocking damage only for herself, you know? It's funny, in preparation for today's video, I forgot the stupid Maneater wave here. In preparation for today's video, I ran a few different Ice Golem 10 teams with all Sylvan Watchers. And on a couple of those teams, she was indeed the last champion standing, right? We wiped because when she's the last one alive, she can't do anything. It's not like she has a burn on the A1 or any sort of utility to be a solo carry in any capacity or revive anybody. Now, she does have revive on death, which is nice, but it's not It's not revive, right? Anyway, I'll come back at you guys at the red boss. This is kind of boring here. All right, guys, here's the red boss. Let's see what we can do. So we go in there, debuff, Miss Rider Dathi Ruella. She comes in there with that nice heal. She can definitely heal. That 20% heal is significant, especially in Hydra. And, you know, at risk of repeating it for the third time in this video, Hydra Clan Boss is definitely an area that I feel like a lot of players could absolutely use her. She brings enough to the table, as we were just mentioning, that I feel like it's not a cute, ha-ha, we're adding her to a team just for the hell of it. I feel like the decreased speed, and there's the Revive on Death, putting in some work there on Cryodin, right? But I feel like that A2, the Leech and the decreased speed, with the good heal, right? I feel like that, in and of itself, for a lot of players, is going to be extremely helpful in Hydra Clan Boss. I always try to include, I mentioned this before, I always include a decreased speed AoE on every one of my Hydra Clan Boss teams. For me, it's just as important as Hex and decreased defense. I'm not going in battle without it, and she's got that covered, right? Okay. Now, granted, everybody's going to have access to like a Vizixion Boat, another Void Legendary, so arguably better. So, you know, there is some mitigation to that as you progress towards the end game. Guys, I'm not going to make you watch the waves of Ice Golem, but I'll show you the team, and I'll come back to you when we actually get to the Ice Golem. This is going to be one of those squads where we put everybody together, right? Another all Sylvan Watchers team for Ice Golem Hard 10. And we're going to go into battle with these guys, and everybody's going to pretty much wipe, except for, you know, Claidna, maybe Elva, and our burner, right? Saoirse in this case. So I'll come back to you guys when we actually get to the Ice Golem, and we can take a look at what she's able to do. All right, guys, here we go with the Ice Golem. I feel like I should mention here as we end this one that Sand Devil, right? A lot of people say she's great in Sand Devil, and she's not bad, right? She does have, obviously, the heal. She's got the, you know, she got the Revive on Death, and she got the Sleep on the A1. It feels in a lot of ways like she was made for Sand Devil. I personally wouldn't really rely on her as my main sleep champion, but the good news is you can get Muckstalker, as I always mention, for free in campaign, and he's got the 2-turn sleep on the 2-turn cooldown, right? So I love the dependability. I don't like the 75% sleep that much. The rest of her kit, though, does lend itself very well to Sand Devil all the way down to the Fey Monarch. So absolutely can be a competent progression Sand Devil champion, or even on late stages of Sand Devil, kind of in that support role. A nice addition to an already kind of, I guess, an already existing foundation or infrastructure of a Sand Devil team. So absolutely, it's a viable use case for her as well. So again, Sand Devil, dungeons, Hydra Clan Boss, Faction Wars, serviceable champion, underwhelming for a Void Legendary in my opinion. That doesn't mean you can't get some utility out of her. Should you book her is the big question. Well, can you use all the things that I just mentioned? If you're somebody that genuinely feels like you need this sort of a champion, or you can use this sort of a champion in Hydra Clan Boss specifically, then, and especially if you can work her into your Sand Devil team on top of that, I do think she's worth booking, especially because of the abilities that you're actually booking out on her, which is, again, getting those cooldowns down to a 3-turn. That's going to be instrumental in getting those debuffs up to 100% on the A2. This is going to be a long battle because we can't keep Saoirse alive, and this is, if we didn't have, this is a good example, if we didn't have a Revive or a Elva on the team, sure, sometimes we can get lucky. I actually ran this team, the exact same squad, before recording, and we were fine. Like, I don't think we lost Saoirse once, or maybe we lost her once and had to revive her, but the Revive on Deaths had it all covered, you know? But RNG is going to be a little bit different every time, so you're not sure with boss critical hits and everything like that if you're going to be able to rely on that. So yeah, sure, this team's solid, but there is a lot of redundancy as well between Elva and Claidna. On this particular team, you almost get the feeling that you'd be fine with just Elva and Saoirse, and Claidna's a nice addition, but not instrumental to this team's success. However, I will say, she's bringing the Leech and the decreased speed. So maybe as a counter argument, you could say, Ash, I feel like she is pretty instrumental. She is pretty valuable here. I'll come back to you guys at the end so we can compare the heals and the damage of this squad, and then we'll call it a video. I'll be right back. All right, guys, here we go. Claidna, or actually, that was Saoirse getting the last shot in there. But as you can see, 2.1 million in heals. Not too bad, but even with that big heal on the A2, Elva's passive heal, able to easily out-heal her with 3.2 million in heals. Damage-wise, obviously the 656 is all coming, for the most part, from the War Master. Pan had 3 million damage, Dathi had 2 million damage, and Saoirse, of course, with the burns, had 8.4 million, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this guide, found it useful. Let me know what you think of Claidna, and keep the champion guide requests coming in the comments below. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.